Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Today is an important step for Sporting Kansas City. Over the last several months, we've been rethinking our strategy and reshaping the structure of this club with intent, and this moment is the next step in that process. That work took shape when we brought David in. He arrived with a clear understanding of how to build a modern football organization, and he sharpened the conversations we were having about how to evolve and how to build this team. From day one, he went right into rethinking our processes, our structure, and the profile of the coach who would take this group forward. In that process, Raphael emerged as the person who fit this moment. He brings experience at the top levels of the game, but what really sets him apart is the way he leads people and guides a group through the demands of a long season and real expectations. He also has a strong track record in developing players, which matters for how we want our pathway to function. Beyond that, there's a steadiness to him and a grounded confidence that comes through in how he sees the game. His teams play with intention and identity, and that fits the direction we're building at this club. And just as important, the connection between Raphael and David was immediate and natural. They see the game through a similar lens, and they share a strong understanding of the culture and standards that define Sporting Kansas City. That alignment gives me confidence in how this next phase will be led. From my side, my responsibility is simple. I support and I empower. I believe in the people we've chosen to lead this club, and I trust the work they're here to do. We've been very intentional about how we reshape this roster, and that work is ongoing as we move towards the preseason. We want to win, and everything we're building is designed to support that. I'm truly confident in the direction we're moving, and I trust the leadership beside me and what we're building together. With that, I want to welcome Raphael to the club and turn it over to David about the process and the football side of this decision.
Thanks, Mike. Good to see you all. Happy New Year. Welcome back to this facility. I'm really excited to welcome Rafa to the club and to the organization. It's been a really thorough process from all of our side. As I went into this, as I joined the club, I knew I had an awful lot of decisions that needed to be made and a lot of things that we needed to do. But the most critical decision was always going to be determining and deciding who the head coach was going to be. So we designed a process that was worldwide, that was extensive, to make sure that we spoke to as many people as we possibly could to identify the right person to lead Sporting Kansas City into the next journey in 2026 and beyond. And I'm delighted that Rafa is that person. The head coach is the most critical hire because they're the person that leads the training environment on a day-to-day basis. They set the standard, they're the person that speaks to the players the most, and so it was absolutely critical that we got the person that could develop our club moving forward. As we looked at the decision from a football side, there were really 4 key areas that we wanted to think about and address as we were assessing candidates. Number 1 was experience. We felt with the position the club is at, it was really important we found a candidate that had experience, ideally internationally, also domestically, but had been a head coach. Rafa has that in spades, having been a head coach for a number of teams and coaching at the very, very highest level, and also having fantastic experience domestically in the US. Mike mentioned development. In my view, there is no club that succeeds consistently in MLS without developing their players. Whether you're an academy player, whether you're from the second team, whatever point in your journey you are, we need to develop players. That is how you can succeed in a salary cap world. And so it's really important that the head coach we brought in had demonstrable experience in developing players, which Rafa has. It was also really important that our football vision aligned. How we see the game was very evident early on that Rafa and I saw the game in a very similar way in what we want to build and what we want to implement in Kansas City. It's a model of possession-based football with intense high pressing out of possession, but a team that wants to keep the ball and have the ball and play attacking football that can create lots of good chances. Maybe most importantly was the person. The human characteristics were really important to me. And I may embarrass him as he sat next to me, but Rafa's humble, he's hardworking, he has the character, he'll drive the standards of our training environment for our players, and that's exactly the type of person that we want to bring. So I'm absolutely delighted that Rafa agreed to join us and that we're sat here today. I can't wait for everyone to get to know him, get to meet our players, and start the work as soon as he can. So I'll hand over to Rafa.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Happy New Year from my side as well. Thank you to Mike. Thank you, David, for trusting me to be the head coach of Sporting Kansas City. I am very proud and very excited to finally be here and to finally meet the people at the club and start to work with the team very soon. I believe that this club has all the ingredients you need to be successful and to compete with the best. It starts with ownership, starts with amazing facilities, and it starts with a very exciting fan base. So again, I'm very, very excited to be here, and I'm open to answer all your questions, most of the questions probably.
We'll do questions and wait for the microphones to raise your hand. We'll do photo ops after this.
Welcome, Rafa. A question for both of you, David and Rafa. Last year, during the process of finding a coach in New York, was there much interaction between you two back then, and was there an impression that both of you left after the hiring in New York?
Rafa was somebody that I'd got to know previously before this process, but the interactions were fairly limited. It wasn't until we started this process that we really engaged in a longer and deeper process through meeting Rafa through the Sporting Kansas City process.
And did you have an impression with David in New York last year, or was there something that built on this hiring process this time around?
No, we saw each other, or we had our already before that interactions when I coached the under 17 national team, because I had various players from New York City, and whenever we spoke and whenever we had an interaction, immediately we had a good human feeling.
Rafa, obviously something about where this team is excited you. You know, obviously the rebuilding the roster. I don't know if you're calling it a rebuild or not, but still making over the roster right now. What excites you just about the transition period that this team's in right now?
I think there's everything exciting about this club. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I feel this club has all the ingredients really you need to have to be able to compete with the best teams. Next to what I've said, were the talks I've had with David from the first moment we had meetings and we spoke. I felt a really good human connection again. That is very, very important to me. I felt that we are very aligned in the culture we want to build, the leadership style we want to have, and obviously as well the playing style, which is very important. And these aspects are extremely important for me and were extremely important for me when I choose my next job. And I had from the beginning very, very good feeling. Now. I knew coming in that there is a lot of spaces open for new players, and all of this for me is a big opportunity rather than a challenge. It's a big opportunity to bring players in we like, but we also have to say we're very excited, or I'm very excited to have the players here, the ones who are here, and I'm very excited to start working with them. And on top of that. Right now, there will be a lot of opportunities as well for academy players, which also is great. So we're going to go to training camp, and there will be spots open for academy players, and that's something I have done my whole career. And I'm really excited as well for these young kids to make their first step in professional football and get experience camp, and you never know. Almost in every preseason there is a surprise, and I'm excited to see who is going to surprise us in those next 6 weeks.
David, I wonder if you could elaborate on that. You touched on it, but just the development of players, especially the homegrown players, and just the need to sort of bolster that area here.
Yeah, I think prior to my arrival, I think that, there have been success stories. Obviously, Gianluca being maybe the main one, but we've got Jake Davis, Paul Scamp, Jacob Bartlett in our team right now. And so I think for me, it's about strengthening that. I think there is an opportunity always to develop players. And like I mentioned, in the salary cap world, you're always dealing with challenges where, as you're more successful, as we will be in the coming years ahead, it gets difficult to keep all of the players together. And so, the most important thing that you can do is build a development environment where players come and develop. And so we want to take the players where they are and improve them, whether they're an academy player, a second team player, or somebody that joins us in our first team directly. And so I'm really excited. I've spent a little bit of time with the academy before the season ended for the winter break. I think they have amazing facilities. They've got amazing coaches, and there's some players with real high potential there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing some of those players get their opportunity, and then it's up to them to take it and show that they're ready for the next step in their career.
What stood out just about Raphael's ability to do that, to lead that?
I think if you look back at his history, you can see the amount of debuts that he gives to young players. You look at the type of players that have moved to huge clubs from teams that he was coaching at. You can see when you watch the teams and how they evolve from the first game to the mid-season and the end season, of how he was able to develop teams and players within that. It became quite clear that there's something that Rafa believes in, and it's really important to me as well.
Hi, I think you both mentioned something about possession-based football. Can you explain a little bit more about what that means and how you plan to make that part of Sporting's identity going forward?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'd rather have the ball than not have the ball. I have been like that as a player. I was a midfielder, and I've heard someone telling me when I read about you, you had some grit and aggressiveness. Yeah, that was part, but I was always a technical player, and I think I took that with me as a coach. So the idea of building up from the back, the idea of having the ball and dominating a game with the ball is going to be a big part of our game. But there is so many other game phases we need to be well as well. I think it's really important that we're also a team who likes to defend forward, who likes to be intense. I want my team to be uncomfortable to play against as well. But obviously, with possession, then we always have to be careful. It doesn't really help if you have 65-70% possession if you never create a chance. So we want to have possession with a goal. We want to go forward and create goal scoring opportunities. But we want to do that because I believe because David believes in that when we do that well from the back, we have bigger chances to actually create chances. There will be moments in the game where that's not possible. Then we will have to use other concepts, and that's all the things we will start training up from next week.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So, for David, how is the process of building the roster? We haven't seen a lot of movement. There are 17 players right now on the roster. So, how is the process? What are you waiting for to name the head coach, or we are gonna see more now?
We're definitely going to see more, that's for sure. We've got open roster slots that we're trying to fill as quickly as we can. I don't think it was intentional to wait for the head coach or wait for Rafa. We've been in conversations with numerous players for a long time. We're trying to get deals across the line. It's most importantly we get the right players, and it's maybe slightly easier for me to say because I'm not having to coach the team on Sunday and Monday. But we want to get the right players at the right time, and so some of those are taking a little longer than we thought. But we expect to be very busy through the remainder of the window. There's going to be double-digit number of players being acquired, and we're right in the middle of that phase right now. We've acquired 3 so far, and I'm looking forward to getting more of those across the line as quickly as we can.
Rafa, welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you.
Having previously coached in the MLS with Chicago, I'm curious, what was the biggest thing you learned about coaching in this league during that first stint that you can maybe help with your second time going into this, knowing what the league is like?
Yeah, I think I have to say I've had 2 good years in Chicago. I really enjoyed the time in Chicago with the people at the club, and it was difficult 2 years. I have to say those were, if you remember, those were 2020, 21 were the COVID years. So the whole league was a little bit different, and I think we all had our struggles. But what I've learned during this time is that this league is different, but that was not new for me in Chicago. I've played here even this long time ago. It seems like a different life, but I've experienced that this league is different. The travel, the time zones, the you go to in summer down to Florida. It's extremely hot. You have to fly 5 hours across the country up to Vancouver. All of that we don't have in Europe. So obviously those are experiences I will take into this, but I'm right now looking forward, starting my new job here, and I'm not going to go back 5 years and say, okay, what can I take from Chicago and do different here? That analyze of me in Chicago I've done years ago when I took my next job then. So right now I'm just enjoying to be here, looking forward to meeting the team and start working, and certain things I've experienced 4 or 5 years ago with the travel are going to be similar, and the rest we'll figure out.
Following up on that, Rafa, looking forward in Major League Soccer, of course, the scheduling is changing. Are you excited about the future of Major League Soccer? What are your thoughts about the future of Major League Soccer?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about this league. This league has grown extremely a lot. I've played here in 2008, so when you start there to now, it has grown a lot. It has grown in the last 4 years, 5 years when I was not here. And it will keep growing, and I think having the World Cup in the US this summer will excite many more people in this country, and that will also have a positive effect on the league. The league itself will grow. I think the change of calendar is important, and will give the teams also different possibilities in the transfer market, because everything will probably be aligned, and I think that's something which needed to be done, and I'm excited for the future. Yeah.
Hey, Rafa, welcome here to Kansas City. Have you had a chance to address the team, and then what are your initial thoughts of the players who are on the roster right now?
Yeah, I have not yet met the team. I will meet them the first time on Saturday, and I'm excited. Like I said before, I'm excited about the players who are here. I know these players. I have seen games throughout these years, and I'm excited for the players to be here, and I'm also excited for the young academy products coming in, and I've heard from David and from some of other people here about certain academy players, and I'm excited just to see them and start working with them.
Hey, Coach, welcome. I know this is always kind of a tough question for you to answer, but how would you describe yourself as a coach and what the players are going to get from you?
Yeah, it's always tough to talk about myself. I try to have an honest and direct communication. I try to treat the player and the human, because behind every football player, every athlete is a human being. And it's important to me, and that's going to be a lot of meetings and talkings, and that's going to be a process to get to know these players on a human level as well, because every one of these players has a story. And I've experienced that on my own. I left Switzerland when I was 20 and went to Germany. So, and I think to understand a South American, how he arrived at a club, or is going to be interesting. And so I'm excited about all of that. So treating the human being and the players. There is moments where the player have to know, okay, now we're talking coach and player, and there is moments where we will have a coffee and is actually the human being, and me also, not the coach. And that is going to be my leadership style, within some other values, core values, yeah, that's a little bit something about me.
Mike, I just wondered if you could just go through the structure. They both going to report to you, or will you report to, can you just kind of go through the plan structure?
Yeah, structurally, no, it's through David.
Speaking of structure, Coach, I think you have probably some extra coaches that could still be used, a goalie coach, maybe an assistant coach. What's the plan for that? Or are you in progress? David, I don't know if you want to chime in on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, we're in the process of finalising the coaching staff. We're really pleased with how that's shaping up. Hopefully announcement very, very soon with the additional coaching staff. But we're really excited about the coaching staff that we're bringing in, and really happy with how that's shaping up. But a couple more details to go to get everything across the line. But yeah, we're really excited about the direction it's going under Rafa.
And then I believe you're still waiting on your P1 visa, so can you actually be coaching Sunday when you're in Florida?
I could take that. Right now, no, he'll be going through the visa process, so he's able to have meetings and be around the team, but won't be working until officially working until the visa arrives.
And then I know you said you were not necessarily waiting on a coach in order to bring in players. You've been working on that, but does that accelerate now that you can consult with coach and talk about that?
Definitely helps for sure. Yeah, it definitely helps. It's been a good couple of days. Lots of players going back and forth. So yeah, it's certainly helpful to our process to ultimately, you know, as I say, I'm not waiting for coach to make additions. If we could have made additions for the players that we're targeting now earlier, then we would have done so. But it's certainly helpful to know that the players that we've targeted are the ones that the coach also is happy with and on board with, because that's a critical part of the process.
And welcome to Kansas City, Coach.
Thank you.
What is the model of a player? I know you talked about you want possession and create opportunities and all that, but what is a model of a player that you could say is like a generic model of a player that you want to be coaching?
I think the first thing is that the player fits in the culture and accepts the culture. The culture is team first. I think that's important. Everyone attacks together. Everyone works for each other and with each other, and those are the type of player I want to have. In the end of the day, I think that's really important. And then obviously we have different profiles for every position, but I think it's being open-minded as well, because when the new coach arrives, certain things are new or different, and I think the players I want the players to be open-minded, seeing certain new things, maybe certain things which have been done differently in their previous clubs where they have been. I think that is important. Those are the players we're looking for.
For Mike, having a new coach, having everything, all the new things happening, how much do you expect that to translate to the fans, to energize them? Because there's been a little bit of down for a couple of years, and people are not as excited as they were at one point, and they're kind of waiting to see some result. How much do you expect this to kind of motivate them?
I mean, I think, first and foremost, completing this hire was a huge step. There's obviously a lot more to go with what we need to accomplish structurally within our organization, scouting, analytics, et cetera. As David said, this is as big as it gets. I mean, I think, if you look at Rafa, watch him, get to know him, he's a straightforward guy, and I think you're going to be really impressed. So from a fan standpoint, I mean, everything we do here is for the fans. Everything in the interview process, how they interact with fans, is incredibly important and critical piece to my consideration, Dave's consideration in the process, and Rafa certainly answered the bell in that test. So I think they can make their own decision, but I think they will be impressed.
David, you mentioned that maybe the most important criteria was the person. I would think that might be the hardest thing to figure out when you're going through the research process here. Could you maybe give us an anecdote or two of what told you this was the type of person that you wanted to hire?
Yeah, it's certainly difficult, but I think it's part of the reason we designed such a thorough, robust process is that you have so many interactions over the course of 6-8 weeks of a total interview process that you really do get to find out more and more about the person. So I don't know, there's one anecdote I will say, similar to Rafa, from our very first connection when we spoke through this process. There was an immediate feeling both on the football side and on the human side, and how I lead or how I like to lead was very similar in how Rafa leads his players, and so for me that was when you ask for examples, which we did, of how a person might lead a group, all of those things were aligned with how I would lead, and I think that was a really good starting point for our connection, and then you delve into football, but really it comes from multiple conversations over many weeks and testing in different ways to try to get to understand the person as best as we can before we make that final decision.
Rafa, welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you.
You referenced the culture. Obviously, that's one of the most important things that a coach wants to implement when they get to a new place. And you mentioned team first. Any other big pillars to the culture that you want to implement here?
Yeah, I think team first is probably the biggest, because, look, I truly believe that culture beats tactics. And this is something I've experienced as a player. This is something I've experienced in the good and in the bad. coaching my teams. The one thing, it's not measurable, but I believe that if we can create and implement the culture we want, that we have better possibilities to be successful on the field. Because when we create, when everyone feels part of something, and when everyone feels, hey, I'm there for you, this person is here for me when I do a mistake, on the field, off the field, and when we can live this culture every single day, I'm pretty sure that this will reflect on the field. And it's not going to be enough to have a PowerPoint on day one. Culture has to be lived every single day. High standards, some values which we will tell first to the players on how we want to have them. That is something we need to demand and ask and live every single day. And I'm the first one. I'm the first one who have to say team first. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to expect this from my staff. And I'm going to expect this from my players. And then we can go talk football. Because if you don't have the right culture, if everyone is just an individual and plays for themselves and does what they want, then you really, really, really need only the best players to maybe have success.
Coach, welcome to Kansas City and congratulations. Maybe along these lines, but what are some of your goals in these next few weeks? Maybe aside from learning the players' names, what are some of those goals that you're looking to achieve in the next few weeks?
Yeah, it's implementing the culture, starting to implement that, setting expectations, setting standards on how we behave together every single day. Then starting to implement the playing style, starting to start a preseason. So there was a long off season, starting to work physically to get them physically and mentally ready, because that's basically what we need to have in order to be ready on February 21st against San Jose. And then obviously building a team. Building the team, like interacting with each other, getting to know when there were new players coming in. They also need to get to know the other players. So all of that, and that again goes into culture, goes into team building. So there is a lot for us to do, but really exciting.
There's a unique energy surrounding the game of soccer in Kansas City right now. What have you heard about soccer in Kansas City, and what excites you to become a part of it?
Well, first of all, I've always heard only good things about this club. From when I coached in Chicago, when I spoke to people who have played here, or even now when I got this job, I get so many messages, and people are just saying it's a great club, it's great people there, and that I've unfortunately during COVID I've played here, but we only had like I think 1,000 people in the stadium, so I couldn't live the full 21,000 people there with the exciting fan base. Everyone always said, and that was earlier in the years, people told me it's not a place we want to go because the fans were really exciting, it was loud. So I've heard only great things about it, and I'm now here and I can feel this. I mean, I've met the owner with David. I see the stadium again. I see the training facility. There is everything. There's everything here, and it's really exciting. But it's up to us once we are in the stadium to sparkle the fans. It's our job to bring the energy to the fans. We cannot just demand, come and support us. Yes, we hope that the stadium will be full. We will do everything, but we on the field need to be the first ones to actually put this passion, put this intensity out, so actually the fans then cheer us even more. And that's going to be my job, and I'm looking forward to that.
Rafa, outside of soccer, what do you know about Kansas City, and is there anything you're looking forward to see or do in Kansas City?
I mean, the Chiefs are very big as well in Europe, so obviously I know it's a sports city. It's a sports city. Everyone who I know, who I met through the years in the United States, spoke very nice about Kansas City as a place to live. My wife is from California. We have in California some friends who are actually from here. They always said it's the best city, even they live in California, they are in Los Angeles. They always said it's the best city. So I'm really excited to get to know the city as well. I have now been here a couple of days. Obviously, it's busy. It's a lot of meetings, but we've also been touring around in the neighborhoods. It's really beautiful. And I'm excited to explore also parts of the city in my private life, because that's something I like to do. I'm a coach and I'm responsible for this team, but I also like to be a normal human being and go out for dinner or go for a coffee. And I will for sure do that when I have time, probably in 2-3 months. and just to go and meet the Kansas City people.